Everyone, over the last decade, I've observed a consistent pattern among professional testers. While they are excellent in doing testing, many struggle to communicate its value to management with the same level of excellence. Now, to address this, I want to share 8 simple tips that I hope will, at the very least, offer you some strategic guidance in communicating the value of testing more effectively. Let's dive into the first one, the principle of selling. Many view selling as aggressive, aiming for quick wins without thinking of long-term trust. And this idea makes many testers uneasy. They feel selling might push people into decisions that aren't good for them. But selling isn't about pushing, it's about exchanging value. It's about solving a problem. And for us, selling is about showing how testing adds value. So to sell testing, we need to know our audience, our buyers. We need to understand their needs. We need to understand the value we create for testing. And then we need to link this value to their needs. And eventually, find a way how and when to articulate this clearly. So this principle is a foundation. It tells us selling is about showing the value of our testing to people who matter to us. Next up, our principle of targeting. Our audience, or our targets as we sometimes call them, falls into 2 categories. Those within software development and those outside. Now, inside software development, picture 3 tiers. The first one is the tactical level. And this is our immediate circle, developers, product owners, and UI UX experts. Now, these are the people we engage with most. And secondly, we have the operational level. And this is middle management, like vice presidents or directors overseeing the tactical level. And thirdly, we have the strategic level, and these are the big guns, such as senior VPs and C-level folks like CTOs, for example. And then there is everyone else, marketing, sales, finance, all outside the dev circle. Let's call them our bonus audience. And now you might wonder, well, why aren't the big decision makers our primary focus? Well, it's fairly simple. They are, number 1, pretty elusive, and number 2, they are often influenced by the insights of the people on the tactical level. So we first work to win over the tactical level by turning them into our sales champions. They in turn then amplify the value of our work to those higher up. Now, how do we do this? Well, first we group our targets, then we describe them, and then we prioritize them. It's a fact of life. We can't make everyone happy all the time, right? And then comes content development, be it white papers or success stories, and choosing the right medium, webinars, blogs, emails, you name it. And think of this as our internal marketing campaign for testing. But creating content isn't the end point. It's crucial that it reaches the right eyes at the right time and gets used, right? So in doing so, we strive to maintain a consistent message throughout. Now, this leads us to our next principle, the principle of consistency. And we know that many testers struggle with articulating the value of testing. Now, to address this, we establish our action lab. Now, think of this as a dynamic community of practice where testers and developers gather on a regular basis. But this isn't just a chat room, right? It's a hub of action. Now, every 2 weeks in sessions lasting about 2 hours, we focus on questions that demand answers. From what characterizes professional testing to how to structure note-taking during exploratory testing. Our sessions are hands-on, enhancing both our testing techniques and how we convey their value. Now, here's the real benefit. These action labs bridge knowledge gaps among testers and cultivate a unified, consistent perspective on testing across our organization. And this unified voice is critical. Without it, our message about the importance of testing could get diluted or misunderstood. So while individual brilliance shines, it's the collective consistency of our team that truly radiates and makes a difference here. Next up, our principle of practicing. Beyond our action lab, we also hold practice sessions to refine our pitch on the value of testing. Now, why do we do that? Well, because how we convey our message is as crucial as the message itself. Now, that's how our sales lab came into being. And there are 3 reasons that drive this. First, which we call pitch perfecting. We aim to sharpen our pitch for varying durations, 2, 5, 15, and 30 minutes, for example. And in many situations, we only have a brief window to convey our point. So having a clear, concise, and compelling pitch, that's our goal. Secondly, demystifying selling. Some testers, again, believe selling is a skill that you are either born with or not. But it's a myth. Selling, much like testing, I would say, is a learnable skill. The more we practice, the easier and the more natural it becomes. Thirdly, overcoming fear. Some testers fear selling because they are afraid of failing publicly, thinking it will show their lack of expertise. And this fear can be paralyzing. And through consistent practice and by sharing both our triumphs and setbacks, we build confidence. We learn that everyone faces challenges. It's not about never failing, it's about always getting back up, right? And never forget, the biggest opponent isn't the person you are pitching to, but your very own apprehensions. Now, investing effort here is vital. Individual commitment, I would say, kicks off your selling journey. But team consistency then ensures we keep at it, right? So it's more like a blend of individual tenacity, I would say, and collaborative spirit. And this mutual sharing and learning underscores the essence of our next principle, the principle of collaboration. You know, the true power of becoming and, of course, remaining excellent in both doing and selling testing comes from sharing knowledge, not withholding it. And that's why we've established a knowledge base, our testing shop, where we pool our insights from lessons learned in our action lab and sales lab to valuable testing methods and tools. It's all in there. But it's not just about practices. We have created a glossary to unify testing terminology. We are striving for everyone to speak the same language here, right? Now, from books and blogs to burning questions like how to decide what to automate, we share it all. And think of the testing shop as our collective brain that's continuously enriched with fresh insights. Now, while it's built on SharePoint and Confluence, in our case, for universal access, it's more than just a storage space. It's a dynamic collaboration hub, I would say. And we even bring in professionals from branding, marketing, and sales to refine our message, producing materials like fact sheets, storybooks, and more. And this aims to make our message not just accurate, but also compelling. Now, through sharing and collaboration, we don't just refine our testing practices, we also amplify the value we offer to others. So to us, excellent testing and of course excellent selling are rooted both in excellent collaboration. So now let's talk about our principle of connectivity. You know, we often get asked by management, why do we even need testing? Now here's how we see it. We test to seek and find problems in our software. So we get information about those problems, and this information then guides others, like developers and product owners, in their decision-making processes. It helps them to avoid that problems become bigger problems. Now think of it like this. We spot problems in the software, helping others address them early on. Now this means fewer headaches down the line, like financial setbacks or unhappy customers. And even if our role in hitting big company goals, like boosting sales or making customers happy, seems indirect, it's crucial. So we aim to speak the same language as our management. And we do that by tying our testing goals to their business goals, to tell a shared story. It's simple. If management can't see the value in our work, it becomes harder to do our job. So we highlight how our work helps them succeed. Next up, our principle of differentiation. At the heart of this principle is another important question from management we typically receive. Why do we need professional testers? Well, there is a common conception, right, that everyone can test. And while it's true anyone can test, doing it effectively is a whole other story. So let's break it down. Professional testing versus amateur testing. Yes, anyone can perform amateur testing, but it's mostly surface level. It might catch obvious problems, but deeper hidden problems, not so much, I would say. Professional testers dive deeper, uncovering subtle issues that matter consistently. So they use systematic strategies, approaches, and techniques, unlike amateur testers. In addition, amateur testing is largely hit or miss, I would say. It's like playing the lottery, hoping to find subtle problems that matter, again, consistently. On the flip side, professional testing is about consistency and efficiency. There's much less luck involved because they have the skills to find problems, again, that matter, again, consistently. Now, this isn't to dismiss amateur testing, by no means. It has its place. But to us, it complements and rather supports professional testing. So our question to management and typically is, well, do you really want to rely on luck when your company's reputation is at stake? Well, we pose this question to management not to provide an answer necessarily, but to let it linger and prompt deeper reflection on the significance of professional testing. To prepare for that, identify your strengths. Think of your unique abilities. What exclusive skills set you apart? For instance, deep testing proficiency could be one. Think of your comparative strengths. What can you do better than others? Maybe it's risk assessment or effective communication of critical bugs. Also think of credibility markers. These are your achievements in the testing world. Speaking engagement, publications, community involvements. It emphasizes your dedications to the testing craft. Now, when you share this with management, keep it short and clear, please, because they are usually swamped with information. Last one, our principle of debunking. Now, this one focuses on confronting and correcting misconceptions and myths that may cloud the understanding of testing. Some common myths we typically encounter are, the idea that software can be entirely bug-free, the belief that all testing can be automated, the notion that 100% coverage is practical or meaningful, or misunderstandings like quality can be fully assured or quantified, or oversimplification that testing boils down to just creating and executing test cases. Now, when discussing testing with management, we come prepared to challenge these myths. For example, to debunk the false beliefs that testing is test cases, we remind management that a recipe is not cooking. We remind them that a sheet of music is not a musical performance. And we also remind them that a file of PowerPoint is not a conference talk. Now, in the same way, a test case is not testing. A test case is an artifact. Testing is a human performance. So just as a file of PowerPoint is not essential to a conference talk, a test case is not essential to testing. So overall, to dispel these myths, what we do is we use relatable metaphors and analogies to connect the complexities of testing to ideas our management understands. And we do that to clear the fog of misconceptions about testing through simple language. All right, now let's bring it all together. I highlighted two kinds of principles, those guiding our actions and those shaping our processes. Now, while the action-related ones help us to pitch the value of testing, the process-related principles give us the roadmap for communicating this value on a larger scale. Now, it's essential to focus on both. Why? Well, because I've seen too many teams already only focusing on the action bit. And when it's then time to scale, they are struggling. So remember, actions without strategy is just noise. So takeaway number one, strategize before you act. Number two, preach the gospel continuously. Think about those challenging times in your company, restructuring, management changes, or layoffs. Now, testers often come under the scanner, but if you have been consistently showcasing the value of your testing, you won't be on the defense. You've already made your case. When new teams form and when you have done your evangelism right, of course, they will know the worth of having a professional tester like you on board. So have your voice heard. Number three, embrace and address challenges. Reflecting back, it wasn't just the principles that mattered to us so much, but the journey of forging them. It's in the debates, the failures, and the eureka moments that we truly grew. Not just as promoters, but also as practitioners of testing. It takes effort, sure. But if you don't shape how others perceive testing, someone else will. And not necessarily in the way you would want. So you've got to confront challenges to change them. Now that's all I have.